Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our Oktoberfest cooking class. I am Charlotte, and with me as my co-host, my friend, and birthday boy is Scott Tompkins.
Is that me? I get
That's
to say
you.
it is my birthday. You know what? I'm so excited to be here to share
On your birthday?
this day with you. I'm excited because of what you're about to make me for my birthday. And the good news is I get to sit in this chair.
Yes.
And you get to do all the heavy lifting,
Yes.
which I'm also very excited
Well,
about.
good. So it's a win-win, really. So Oktoberfest class. So I decided that for this class, we would celebrate all things Oktoberfest and create a wonderful Oktoberfest snacking board that you guys can enjoy at home. So today we are going to make a soft scratch-made pretzel. They are so good. I've had about 6 today. To go with that, we're going to have a beer cheese dip, which is sort of an homage to a very traditional cheese dip called Obazda, which in Germany or at an Oktoberfest, it's sort of like brie and softer cheeses mixed with some beer. This one's a little bit pub-like, so I'm very into it. We're gonna have 2 different types of mustard. So we're gonna do a sweet and sour beer mustard. So it has these really nice bitter notes from the beer, but also these really great notes from the apple cider vinegar, and of course the sweetness from the brown sugar and the shallot. And then of course, our final mustard would be the roasted jalapeno mustard, and this one's going to utilize just a very traditional yellow mustard, but we're going to roast some jalapenos and mix it all together and create this beautiful board. Also, I do have some brats over here that are steaming in a little bit of Oktoberfest beer, because you can't have a snacking board without some delicious beer brats. So I'm excited about those.
Chef, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Why is it they start celebrating Oktoberfest in September?
Okay, I actually know the answer to this, and I did some research on my Oktoberfest lore. So originally Oktoberfest was to celebrate the marriage of Ludwig of Bavaria, right? And I think it was in 1812 or early 1800s. And it started in, the wedding was in September, but over time, it's sort of been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and so it starts in September.
Do you think they got cold feet? That's why they pushed it back? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I'm
wedding?
just saying that over time they moved the day. Yeah,
the day back, not the
So
wedding. I was
originally it was like a
confused.
celebration that started like October 4th and ended on the 12th or something like that.
my kind of
Incidentally,
wedding.
I also did a lot of research on Oktoberfest beer, and it's like the evolution of. So it started off as a Dunkel, and then it went to a Marzen, and then it went to like, and I wrote it all down, an Oktoberfest beer, and now it's just fest beer. I went deep into Oktoberfest, but we also have a lot of like really cool Oktoberfest style beers at HEB. So if you wanted something,
So right now, while
we've
the
got-
information's fresh, you have all the Oktoberfest Wikipedia
Right?
in your brain right now. So now's the time to ask
Yeah.
questions. Hey,
Okay.
we have a real quick, if you
Yeah.
missed something, you want to go back, a lot of people, if you're joining us live on Facebook, don't forget, you can click on the items that Chef Charlotte shows you and the things you see. You can click on those, you can purchase them. Those of you joining us live on YouTube, thanks so much for being here. And those, of course, those of you who sign up for the Zoom, we welcome you, our class, our students. Don't forget, you can always go back to our YouTube channel, check out past content.
Yes.
Our YouTube channel, youtube.com/HEB. Let's do this.
All right, let's do this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with our scratch-made pretzel. And I feel like people think that pretzels are hard to make. They're actually a very simple dough to make. It's just that extra step of boiling, I think, which kind of puts people off, or maybe it's the making of the shape, the pretzel shape, but I'm gonna show you guys how to do it super easy. I've got a stand mixer right here. And in my stand mixer, I am going to add in 12 ounces of warm water. And the reason why we have warm water is that we need to activate or bloom our dry active yeast. And really what happens is by adding it to warm water, it sort of sloughs off the cells on the outside and gets to this live yeast cell on the inside, activating it, and then, you know, it helps make our dough.
It wakes them up.
Yep, wakes them up.
Just waking
and
them up.
so I'm adding a little bit of brown sugar. The recipe calls for sugar. You can use brown sugar, white sugar. You can even use honey if you want. It doesn't really matter. The sugar is there for a little bit of flavor, but Mostly it's there to feed our yeast.
And the brown sugar's got that nice molasses added to it. It gives it a little more mahogany.
And it gives like a, like a softer, so I'm using just Red Star dry active yeast, and I'm gonna use a 1/4 ounce or 1 package. This recipe is also easily doubled, but it yields about 8, hearty pretzels.
You want to double it because you've had about 6 pretzels. I think I had probably at least 4, and those were the 3 that came out of the oven hot, and then 1 that was just laying around.
So I'm gonna put this mixer on medium, or, and we're just gonna let it kind of do its thing for a few minutes while we prep a couple of other things. Right here I've got 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm gonna melt this. You don't want your butter screaming hot, right? You just want it melted so you could pour it into the dough.
Yeast.
So I'll do about 20 seconds here.
Chef, if you don't have a KitchenAid mixer like we do, if you were going to knead this by hand or in a bowl, how long would you recommend folks knead the dough for?
So we're going to do like a solid 10 minutes. That's a really great question. If you don't have a KitchenAid mixer or a stand mixer, you could use a Cuisinart or food processor that has the dough blade attached, or you could definitely do it by hand. And you just want to add those ingredients a little bit at a time, and once your dough forms a ball, like once it comes together, you're just going to add a little bit more flour onto the board, and you're going to knead and knead until it becomes a smooth, tight, ball. So our yeast is already blooming, which is fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and add some things to it. So the sugar is what the yeast eats, right? And it utilizes that for energy, for fuel, and the byproduct of that is CO2. And that's what makes our dough rise, right? And the gluten that we get from like the development as we work the dough is what traps in that CO2 and forms those bubbles and that structure.
It's the gluten formation that traps the air.
So I'm using about 4.5 cups of bread flour. If you don't have bread flour, AP flour is going to work just fine. Grab my butter out of here.
Yeah, you're looking for like that higher protein flour. Probably want to avoid cake or pastry for sure, but yeah, that bread flour is a good all-purpose
and I'm adding a little bit of flour at a time. And the reason why I'm using a bread flour is that I'm looking for a higher gluten content because I want a stretchier, chewier pretzel, right? So while this is mixing, I'm also going to add in a couple of pinches, 3 pinches of salt to this. And I'm just going to let this mix. And can y'all see inside that mixer?
Yes.
Y'all can do all right. So as I add in a little bit of flour, you can sort of see how as the hook goes around, it picks up a little bit more of the flour every time it goes around the bowl. And it mimics the physical action of kneading a dough.
Chef, quick question for you.
Go ahead.
Does mixing the yeast in make it bloom better or faster when you're doing it in the water, I believe, was the question?
Mixing the yeast into the water?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like warm water makes it bloom faster?
Yes.
So I do the opposite. Those of you that are into bread making or just doing anything like this, like when it's a simple pretzel, I typically always just throw the yeast in with like cool water because I do a longer fermentation. So I'll do like an overnight, which is fine for that. But for this application, I think the blooming of the yeast will kind of help you get to that pretzel fast. Because obviously you don't want to, I guess you could ferment the dough overnight for sure. But this is kind of a faster,
Okay, so while that dough is working, we're going to give it some time. We have 2 reductions that we're going to make. The first one is going to be for our beer cheese. So we're going to reduce a little bit, not a little bit, a whole bottle of Oktoberfest. And I'm going to do this in a heavy bottom.
Is that a lager?
It's actually, it's a Marzen style beer.
All right, now what is that? Come on, Oktoberfest, hit me with it.
So it has to do with like it has to do with the type of hops that they use and also the type of malts that they use. And typically Marzen means March, and it's was typically produced in the spring. But I told you I did my research on this Oktoberfest beer. But as they got better at like kilning malts, they've changed the style. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna add in the beer and we're gonna add in the garlic, and I recommend doing this in a heavy bottom pan like a Dutch oven because we are going to add cheese to this and we're going to melt it, and we want to make sure that we don't scorch the bottom because there's nothing worse than A, cleaning up scorched cheese on the bottom, and then B, cleaning up scorched cheese on the bottom of a pan. So I care about y'all. I'm looking out for y'all.
Chef, got a
Heavy
question
bottom
for you.
pan. Yeah.
They would like to know, could this recipe be adapted for a bread machine if you're going to make like
I have
a pretzel
no
loaf?
idea. I do not know how to use a bread machine. That is like full, I don't know.
Candace, I think it sounds like this is something you may just have to try. If you were doing like I bet it could. If you're using like a pretzel loaf, I'm sure it would. Just form it into a loaf and throw
Well,
it
you
in
just
there
want it to proof it, right?
Yeah.
And I bet it would make a really good pretzel type like loaf, and you'd slice it. Okay, so I'm turning up my mixer. I added a little bit more flour. I'm gonna mix in a little bit of butter in between flour.
Kind of
It's
going a little
okay
back
if
and
you
forth.
forget to put the butter in. I did that twice yesterday. It just makes it kind of hard to mix in because it's slippery, and the dough has a hard time like incorporating because it's slippery, right? So
You use the analogy. You said it's like you on a slip and
it's
slide.
like me on a slip and slide. it just goes, right?
Just keeps-
So you want to make
keeps
sure that
sliding.
if you do forget to add the butter in, just add a little bit of flour at the end, and it just helps the dough attach to the side, get some friction, and incorporate. All right, so that's doing okay. All right, so we're reducing our butter
I got my eye on it, Chef.
by half. We are also going to add into this a little bit of sherry cooking wine, and I am a huge fan of sherry cooking wine. It adds like a level of sweetness that really pairs nice with cheese.
Gives it a real nice depth. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
depth. Good word. So we're gonna add that in there. Again, we're gonna reduce this. Now, to this pot up here, this is gonna be our reduction for a sweet and sour beer mustard, and we're gonna almost make a syrup. Like we're gonna reduce this guy down. So we're gonna add in the beer, and I'm using 2 different types of beer. I'm just,
What kind of beer is that one, Chef?
This one is, let me tell you, this one is the Hofbrau Oktoberfest beer. So this is, there it is, right there. We're gonna do that. I'm gonna add in a shallot, and I'm gonna add in some garlic and a little bit of vinegar. And this one's gonna be divine as well. So here's our brown sugar going in. Here's our brown sugar going in. There we go. All right, our shallot, I'm gonna cut this guy. If you can't find shallot, you know what will work really well in that is
Use red onion.
a little red onion. And I'm gonna put some extra garlic in that.
Because it's
top
my
this
birthday.
guy
Is
off
that why?
with
Just
the
because
what?
it's my birthday. And I know you don't like the
I know,
extra
you love
garlic.
it.
but
He
you're
loves
doing
the
it.
garlic, y'all.
That right there is what friendship is all about, homie.
I also put extra salt in the pretzel dough. It's
And on
because
top
I
of the
care.
pretzels.
All right. So, beer, apple cider vinegar, brown sugar, garlic, shallot. This one, we just have our beer, our sherry wine, and our garlic, and we're gonna reduce this one down. So everybody's gonna reduce. Everybody's doing all right. Let's check our dough. All
How's
right.
it looking? Coming together? So it's a pretty long knead.
It
on
is. So
this.
really, it's gonna be like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Because you're like, I mean, you are going to do, and I'm jumping ahead, but you are going to, pretzels do get blanched, kind of like bagels. You want that chew on the
Yes.
outside, which is also going to get that, where they get that classic color. Addie, there is no place you can pause or rewind until you watch this again on our YouTube channel. Then you can pause and rewind as much as you want. But we are live. There is no commercials.
No commercials.
When we make mistakes, you see them all. It's completely live, unfiltered, and raw, right? Raw footage, guerrilla footage.
All right, so y'all can see how our dough is starting to come together a little bit more. All right, we're gonna add a little butter. So after we mix this guy completely, and after he forms like a really smooth dough ball, we're gonna set it in a greased bowl, like a little bit of oil. You can use nonstick spray, whatever you're into. Cover it in plastic wrap, and you're gonna put it in a place in your kitchen that has like 0 draft, right? So on top of the fridge is always a good place at my house. But what I like to do actually is keep it in the oven with the light on. So the oven is off, and I just turn the oven light on, and it's just draft free. It has a nice like warm temperature. Pretty good for proofing. I'm gonna slow this down a little bit so y'all can see what's happening in there. Do y'all have a good view of that? Oh gosh, Tompkins, where were you on that, homie?
Where was I? I'm sorry.
He hugged me out to dry.
Did it boil over?
It did, but
See,
it's
that's
okay.
good because we had to christen the actual stove itself today, so that was the christening.
It's not a big deal. Incidentally, I almost had to throw away a pan at my house yesterday because
Too much reduction?
I reduced it down to a caramel carbon mess. I almost had to throw the pan away. All right, there we go. Just hang out and reduce. Just do your thing. We got it. All right. All right, come on, dough. This went by so fast in rehearsal. I was like so quick with it. Ooh, look, here we go. All right.
It's coming. It's not almost all the flour's in.
There we go.
Our poor.
This KitchenAid is working.
So no, I think you
This thing is
I think you
working.
should take your hand off the mixer to show that this mixer has been here for about 6 years at our culinary center, being used, and its neck is a little
working.
loose, and it's kind of like, it has a little sass when it's still working.
Right.
It just kind of doesn't want to do it anymore.
I'm gonna add a little bit more flour to this. Just a note on how I measure flour for breads or baking or whatever. I usually use a scoop or a spoon, and I'll measure this way, and I'll put the flour in the cup like this. The reason being for that is that if you scoop this way, typically what happens is you compress or compact all that flour in there, and you'll have to end up putting more water in the dish or the dough.
I'm smelling a lot of cooking beer right now.
Oh my God, it's so great in here.
Beer.
You can do it, you can do it. Don't make me
Yeah, that's the
look
thing
bad.
with hydration. We talk about doughs, like you can see the dough kind of coming together. There's
Yes.
every bread is very different. Like from a focaccia, like a pizza dough, which we've done in class before, it's their different hydration rates or kind of get different desired outcomes. And this is definitely the like you've got butter, you've got a little more sugar in this. This is definitely more of kind of an enriched dough.
All right, I think.
You don't want it too
Okay, here we go.
hydrated.
My dough has come together. I'm gonna show you guys this really quickly. All right, so my dough has come together. It's tacky, but not too sticky. Put this over here. I'm gonna put a little flour on our board, just a little bit.
A little to keep it sticking. You said tacky, right, Chef? A little
Tacky, but
with a
not
touch?
not too sticky. It's not, I wouldn't call it wet, right? So now I'm just gonna roll them like this. So if you were kneading this guy from like making this dough by hand, if you you can refer back to like our pasta class when we talk about kneading. It's a push, it's a fold back over, like this, right?
That kind of folding, pushing,
Just
pulling.
look at that.
The I like this, and you're obviously you're developing gluten. I
Yep.
I love kneading bread by hand. I like
It's
doing whatever.
very
the bread
like
is.
it's
It
like
is
cathartic and relaxing. All right, so just a little bit of nonstick spray in my bowl, like so. I turn it over once, turn it over like this, cover in plastic wrap, put it over here. Let me see. Yeah. I'm gonna cover that guy with a towel. All right, let's check on our reductions over here. I'm gonna clean as I go. That looks good. This guy is just gonna have to keep going, all right? Okay, right here, in this pot right here, this is our water, our boiling water for our pretzels. I'm gonna add in 3/4 cup of baking soda.
Now, when you used to make pretzels, and I love this word, I'm going to use it because they used to do the food safe lye to do the pretzels, which gave you that dark mahogany color, gave you that kind of flavor.
Yeah.
But sodium hydroxide is the actual name of the lye.
Yeah.
I don't like to use it because the other name for sodium hydroxide is caustic soda.
He has been
So
saying this word all day, caustic
I like-
soda.
and you-
He
and you
loves saying it.
Typically can't find sodium hydroxide in most places. I know we don't carry it, and I think baking soda is a great substitute because it gives you the same desired effect. It's an alkaline, you're adding it to the water, right? So it's gonna give you that, like, it'll still give it a chew. It helps gelatinize the crust to make it chewy, and it gives that dark mahogany.
It does. It also, like, the second we put these pretzels in there, they're gonna puff immediately, and the baking soda also causes these pretzels to make these beautiful splits. It's fantastic. Okay, so pretzels. Here is my, can y'all see in here? Can y'all see in there?
Yes, I can see.
Okay, so this is our little like makeshift proof box. So it's just the oven with some boiling water in a pan on the side.
Chef, will you move the mixer just over to the side so you can
absolutely.
see your workspace better?
Absolutely.
I want to be able to see
Sorry about that, guys. Okay.
I'm trying to follow along as best I can.
Okay, so comparison.
Did it proof? Did it work? Did our little proofing? Good.
So fresh dough that we just made, then dough that's ready to go, all right? You can see like in the bottom, you can see those like bubbles, the air pockets. This is gonna be beautiful. All right, checking on these guys. This guy looks like he's reduced well. Our water is boiling, that's doing a thing. All right, let's make some pretzels, all right? So I'm just
roll it out.
Dump this guy out. There we go.
He doesn't want to be rolled out. He wants
to
be baked as a loaf.
Oh, this is like, it makes me happy. All right.
Chef, how long did your dough proof?
So it's, if your kitchen is warm enough, right? So it's about an hour to an hour and a half. The colder your kitchen is, the longer it's gonna take.
Yeah, I think too, you have
it's a good question.
The question was, depending on how hot it is, I think a lot of recipes tend to say, let it sit at room temperature and for an hour and it'll be puffed. Everything, just like she said, is completely different. So if you keep your house, I know Charlotte keeps her house very, very cold, 69 degrees.
You
so
bet.
Like it's gonna raise a lot slower in a cold environment than it will in a hot environment. So obviously it just varies. If you haven't seen anything happen in like an hour, like there's no movement, I would say maybe your yeast might be dead.
Yes.
But if it's too cold, just give it a little bit.
All right, so the next step that we're gonna do is we're actually gonna roll out our pretzels. And so I've got these, I cut them into pie pieces, right? And we're just gonna take the pie pieces. So y'all saw how I did that. Round piece of dough, cut it into 8 equal pie pieces. Don't worry if some are bigger than the others, not really that big of a deal. And we're just gonna roll them out as if we're like rolling snakes with Play-Doh, right? So a coil pot, and we're looking about 18 inches to 16 to 18 inches, right? So it's a pretty good size. And then we're gonna do that traditional pretzel roll, all right? So we're gonna bring these guys up, our pretzel twist. We're gonna bring it up to a U shape, cross over again, bring it down, and there we go. Ta-da! And we're gonna put them on the sheet pan right here because we're gonna transfer them over to be boiled.
So here's my question for you. You're
it.
rolling out like Play-Doh snakes. Everybody knows that. Everybody made Play-Doh snakes.
Yeah.
So could you turn these into something other than just pretzel dough? Like we make them into rolls? I mean, the holidays are just around the
Absolutely, we
corner.
could. I wish I knew how to do the, I did it! Oh my gosh, okay, the Annie Ann's twist. I was trying. Oh, no. Oh,
that's all right. Look,
all right.
Close enough.
I should have practiced that. But yes, you absolutely can. Just know that whatever you do, whatever size difference you make, it's going to affect the baking time, and you just want to be aware of that. All right.
That was a well done twist.
It was, right? It looks kind of cool doing it, right? No?
I don't even think Aunt Annie herself could roll the twist just
Annie,
like that,
is it
Chef.
Auntie Anne's? Annie Ann's.
I probably said it wrong, so there you go.
It's all good.
I know my Aunt Annie couldn't roll it like that.
I'll tell you what, though, that smell coming out of that place at the mall, I think they just pump it into the air.
I mean, it's pretzels, right? I mean, like, what's not to love about a fresh baked
butter and
pretzel?
yeast dough. Okay. Here we go.
I mean, it's a great dough to, like, once you're rolling it, I mean, you can make garlic knots out of this. I mean, the sky's the limit.
And then, okay, so as you're rolling, I start in the center, and it's like even pressure all the way to the ends. And if your ends get too thin, it's okay. You can fold them in on themselves. There's no,
This technique is also kind of similar if you had a bigger piece of dough, how you'd make a baguette.
Yes.
Except you don't twist it.
Except you don't twist it. Look. Y'all want to see one more? Or you want me to
I want you to
these guys?
do all of them because they're best when they're fresh out of the oven, Chef.
Okay. All right.
Also, it's a specific birthday request.
All right, we'll do one more. This guy's kind of thick. Do one more. Over, twist again, bring it down. And then you just kind of, at the end. There we go. All right, I'm going to save these because y'all want to do some some bites? I'm going to roll these into bites.
So they had a great question from Sheeran. She asked, is it okay to store your yeast packets in the refrigerator? I don't think, if it's in yeast packets and they're closed, you don't need to store them in the refrigerator.
No, yeah.
You can if you want to. Once you've opened it, if you have the jar of like the dried yeast, you can throw it in the freezer to kind of keep it a little fresh longer, but it's pretty much dormant in those packets, so you're fine. Just in a cool, dry place is fine.
That is really satisfying. Chopping that dough like that.
It's like making gnocchi.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna bring these guys over here and we are going to boil. This is where a slotted spoon or spatula comes in really handy. This guy right here is my fish spat. I love this guy. This is fantastic. It's made specifically for pretzels. Just kidding, it's made for fish, but it's wonderful. All right, so when I boil them, we only want to go about 30 seconds. I always hold them by its little arches to keep that pretzel shape. And literally, I mean, it's like we're talking 30 seconds.
Just enough to get that chemical reaction. You're kind of like gelatinizing it a little bit.
That's right.
Puff, and then that's where that good chew comes. So you have that crust on the outside of that pretzel.
That's right. It's starting our crust. It's also, again, that baking soda is going to give us that really good color. We're going to make these little dots. Y'all want to do that? These little bites.
Yeah, let's do it.
I didn't make bites in rehearsal, but all right. So you can see how they immediately started puffing. Take this guy out. Look at that. Ah, so cool. You know what would be good on these? The everything but the bagel spice. No, I'm the only one on that, Tompkins? Just me?
Wait, answer a good question.
Oh, it wasn't even listening
I'm
to me.
multitasking. I'm multitasking.
He doesn't even
I'm going to
listen.
ask you to, will you repeat your question, please, Chef?
I said, do you know what would be so great on these? And that was everything bagel.
Yes, everything bagel spice would be awesome.
Be
on
fantastic on there. All right, look at these little guys. How's my reduction doing? That guy's okay.
And we do have new bagel spice. Instead of just the original bagel spice, they're on the shelves in your local HEB spice section.
Yeah, I worked on that project. We have like a sriracha one. We have all sorts of ones. All right. These are gonna be so good. All right, now I'm gonna just throw our dots in there. These are kind of big bites. These are like 2-bite guys.
I'm smelling beer, but I'm also smelling like the faint smell of like the pretzels, like the kind of like the bread,
Like
yeasty,
yeast dough. It's amazing.
The yeasty dough. It's starting to smell like an Aunt Annie's in here.
All right. So now
Aunt Charlie's. No, maybe Charlotte's, Aunt Charlotte's.
Aunt Charlotte's. So while those guys are doing a thing over there, we're just gonna brush with egg wash. Egg wash is just a beaten egg with a little bit of water in it. The egg wash is gonna help with that rich, like mahogany color, but also give something for the salt to stick to. And since we're talking about salt, it's hard to find pretzel salt itself, right?
It's really hard to find it.
So there's a couple of options you have. You can use like a flake salt, like a Maldon salt. My favorite, however, which works perfectly well, is just this coarse sea salt by HEB.
Coarse
it works
sea salt,
beautifully.
really good.
Yeah.
Even HEB's Kosher salt, the HEB brand, not the Morton, but the HEB's, it's a much thicker granule.
How salty you want these guys?
I think you know the answer to that.
Okay. Like
Just when you think you stop adding it, you add a little bit
400,
more.
450 degree oven, about 15 minutes. We're gonna do a turn once. I'm gonna grab our dots.
I mean, you gotta have, salt is,
These are huge. I think I would.
They blew up?
Yeah.
They bloomed.
Oh my God, look how big these guys are.
So those they could be pretzel bites, or you could also boil them
These
without
are
the baking soda and make them
hilarious.
bagel bites.
I don't know, man. You
Roll
could
them
toss
in
these
bagel
in some
spice.
cinnamon sugar. All right, here we
I
go.
can smell your sweet and sour mustard. It's smelling good.
Ah, there's my salt. Ta-da! Flake salt. Okay.
Also a good salt.
All right, I'm gonna do these just because. Kind of do that. You could toss these in butter and cinnamon sugar and it'd be like, get out of town.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, I wonder if we could fry those once we've
Just making more work for me.
fried. Yeah, let's do it. Let's fire up some oil, chef. It's my birthday.
It is your birthday. Okay, I'm gonna throw these guys in the bottom. We'll probably rotate these guys once during the baking process.
All right, how long do we bake them again?
About 15 minutes. I bet that the dots are gonna take less time.
4 to 450, just keep an eye on it.
I've turned off my boiling water. We don't need that anymore. Over here are brats. We're gonna leave those there. We've got our reduction up here for the sweet and sour mustard. I'm gonna throw some jalapenos on the grill.
We had a question about the salt. It said, what's the difference between a kosher salt and a sea salt? And kosher salts are typically...
Has been waiting for this question his whole life.
Kosher salts are typically like a mined salt. And sea salts obviously come from the sea. There's a little more minerality to them. I prefer in baking to use a sea salt, a fine sea salt. And I've just started doing that because I feel like it helps the gluten structure. However, in basic, most all cooking, most restaurants are gonna find kosher salt typically because it's a little cleaner in flavor. And sometimes sea salts have a little more kind of minerality to them, possibly, depending on which one. Both are good, but I think kosher salt's a little bit cheaper than sea salt. I just like the flavor better. Plus, you can kind of see it better. You feel the grains in your fingers. I'm just used to doing the grains. Both are acceptable, though.
So we have reduced our beer with the sherry wine, and we've got our garlic in there. And now to this, I am adding a can of evaporated milk. And the reason why we are using evaporated milk is that it doesn't separate. So it's been reduced, right? Typically, when you add dairy with alcohol, sometimes it separates or kind of coagulates and isn't really beautiful. And we want to have a really, really, really velvety, cheesy goodness happening. So I added that. I'm going to add a little bit of whole grain mustard, about a tablespoon. If you want to use Dijon, use Dijon. If you've got a cool mustard at home you want to use, go ahead and use that. And then a little bit of Lea and Perrins because it's just like an umami bomb and I love it. And I'm going to bring this back up to a simmer. And this is the base for our cheese dip.
So you got some good emulsifiers. You've got the Dijon mustard in there, helps emulsify, and then you've got the condensed or the evaporated milk, which
not condensed.
It's like 60%
yes
evaporated of the water.
Yep.
So it's a little more concentrated, so yeah, you get less of that separation.
And then we're going to get our cheese ready. So in my bowl right here, I've grated some New York cheddar. You could really use any cheese you like in this dish. Like I said, the obatsta is served cold. And they use like a brie type cheese or like a camembert, even gorgonzolas or blue cheeses. We're making more of a pub style thing. So we've got that cheddar. You could use like this post oak smoked like Havartis or mozzarella, something good that's melty. And then we're gonna add in one of my favorite cheeses. We're gonna add in the 50-50 restaurant blend. Honestly, it's a full-on favorite cheese. We buy it at the house all the time. I kind of missed the original like turquoise packaging it was in, but this is good too.
They give you a little strip of turquoise. It's
right?
Just a little strip, just enough. It's like a bathing suit, just enough to show you it's there.
Oh, you remember?
How'd you like that? I used that back on you. Bam.
Okay, so
come full
this
circle.
cheese is 50% cheddar cheese and 50% American, right? And we're making like a Mornay sauce, right? So like what you would put with a macaroni and cheese, and we're not using a roux, right? So typically if you were going to make that sauce, it would be the butter and the flour, and you would cook all that out. You'd cook that flour flavor out. You'd add the cheese, and then you would bake it with that pasta. But we're not doing that. We want to keep this kind of fluid and kind of liquid, right? So the addition of the American cheese, and you can use this for your macaroni and cheese recipe if you want, it acts as an emulsifier, right? And it keeps everything smooth and creamy and just hanging out in this party together. I absolutely adore it, and I put it in all of my cheese sauces. It's amazing, right? So it's a little bit more insurance. So
that is a lot of cheese.
It is
in
a
that
lot of cheese.
borosilicate bowl.
So we're also going to add a little bit of cake flour. And the reason why, just what I said earlier, like if we were making that Mornay sauce, right, that bechamel sauce, we would start with that roux, but we're not going to make a roux. So I'm using pastry flour because it's a finer grain, it doesn't have a lot of protein, and it'll cook relatively like quickly, and it'll cook out that, we won't have a lot of that flour taste. And I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of this in there, just enough to coat it. You could also use cornstarch if you wanted to, or Wondra flour would even work really well. All right, just a nice coat. Yeah, Wondra's a great flour, so it's already been cooked, so it's great like if you have to thicken something really quickly. All right, I'm gonna come over here. Are y'all ready? So I've added that in there. Oh, it's gonna be so good. I added extra cheese to this just in case. I'm just, ooh.
Just a little extra cheese just in case?
Just in case. All right, we're gonna let that kind of do a thing. I'm gonna roll over my jalapenos over here. So I am roasting these jalapenos for our jalapeno mustard.
I was gonna say something and I'm like, you know, I'm not gonna say it, but I was gonna say, what if you're allergic to cheese? What do you do with your sauce? And I was like, well, then you just don't do it. Look,
they
it's
do
not
make
always...
some really incredible vegan cheeses out there.
They do, but on this occasion, just
should we just put all the cheese in there?
I want to see you do all the cheese because I want to see it all emulsify. And I want to see you do the aligo potato where you pull it all the way up and see if you can touch the camera.
I don't have any of that.
Come on, Charlotte, touch that camera up there.
So I can't handle the pressure, Tompkins. All right, we'll add in all this cheese. That's a lot of cheese. All right. We're going to mix this.
I think it looks to me like from this angle, you could have added more cheese, Chef.
Well, sometimes less is more. All right, pretzels, y'all can see in there. I'm going to go ahead and give these a turn. You can see how they're puffy. They got a couple of splits in there. There's our little bite-sized guys.
Are they browning up nicely?
Yeah, they're looking really nice. They're looking really nice, man.
Progress.
All right.
It's progress.
So while that's happening, I'm going to throw on our brats. Now, Tompkins, you can't leave me hanging on these brats, right? All right?
I meant to give you a heads up on the brats. They're done, Chef. They're ready to go on the grill.
Well, I'm going to put them on the grill. And I just want to get some,
that's why we're a great team, Chef. That's why, right there. Prime example, why we're a great team. Stuff's burning on the stove, and I tell you a little late, and that's
all right.
That's the way we do it.
It's all right. We're going to grill those guys up, and now we're going to make some mustards, all right?
Jalapenos look good. Rob, look at that grill cam. Bam!
Ooh, we have a grill cam?
Yeah. It
how's that,
not
Tompkins?
even knowing that we...
What?
Oh, there it is. Do it one more time. One more time.
Oh, wait, okay, I don't want to lose my mic. Okay.
Wait a minute, is that... Are you using my Barbie's first whisk?
This is my favorite whisk. It fits perfectly in my hand, and full disclosure, I may or may not have borrowed one from work.
I like the...
and took it to my house.
The Barbie's first whisk, there's something
I'm
about...
going to turn this off.
You know, what it can do.
Turn that off and let that go. Okay, mustards. Let's talk about our mustards, all right? So, I got a blender. You don't have to use a Vitamix. It's just the one we have here. These are, you can even use a food processor. So, for the first mustard we're going to do is we are going to do our roasted jalapenos. So, I do have some jalapenos over there roasting, but for the sake of time, I want to give y'all a good, can you still see this? No, I just want to give y'all a good line of vision here. Really, all I did was took those jalapenos, I roasted them, and then with my knife, the back of my knife or the sharp part, I just sort of scraped off.
Just a little bit, right? You don't
just
have to
a little bit of the
scrape
skin.
all of it off. I like some of that.
Oh no!
That's
got
right.
you, friend.
Hey,
Don't
a little
worry.
flame is okay. That's okay. I'm not worried. I saw it, Chef, and
he
I was
didn't.
not
He's
nervous
doing it again.
at
I think
all.
it's like you're setting me up.
I like a little bit of that, a little bit of flame on there. Not going to hurt my brat.
Right. There we go. All right.
So we call a little flame kiss.
Do you like it? Do you like it super spicy, Tompkins, or like kind of spicy?
Let's go with the err on the side of maybe children will enjoy this with us. You never know.
Do you know a lot of kids that like mustard?
Yes.
Piper liked mustard when she was a kid, right?
Yeah, she would do the saffron aioli on her turkey sandwiches.
All right, I'm just gonna scrape out some of those seeds. Get rid of that stem.
I don't mind. Look, I love the pepper flavor. I just can't always handle the heat.
It's all right, I get it. Sometimes these jalapenos are like...
They all have a special place in my heart.
Right? I'm gonna scrape out some of those
I just
seeds.
sweat
No big
when
deal.
I start eating a lot of hot food.
You want me to put all of them in there?
Yeah, just do them all.
Yeah, why
Let's
not?
go for it.
I learned in our Johnny Hernandez Hispanic Heritage class, he said that in Mexico, they never put the seeds of the dried chili in the recipe. It's like, you just don't do that.
They peel them all out. Or
yeah, and I was like, man, I'm glad. I feel like a more authentic cook because I learned that. All right, so clean this up really quickly. Wipe off.
So for the mustard, you reduce all that kind of au sec. You're adding
Yep.
the yellow mustard to it, so we're kind of like cooking the garlic a little bit. You're taking out some of the bite.
This guy is just the yellow mustard and the jalapenos. We're just going all out with this. We're gonna put a little minced shallot. So shallot looks like this. You just tip tail or leave the tail on, cut it in half. We're gonna dice this guy, just a mince. So I palm, fingers up, just give it a little, did y'all see that? Did you get that, Rob?
It is. It's a cool shot because it kind of
Okay.
looks like you're almost cutting into the flesh of your hand, but you're not. It's very deceiving.
And then we're just gonna
Look, we're pretty close to Halloween. We're gonna have to do something, you know.
You know, we have a boozy cocktail class happening
That's right.
with a Halloween-inspired charcuterie board. Okay, throw this guy in there. I'm gonna throw the garlic in whole. I've got 3 cloves here. How do you feel about that?
That'll work.
Got it, that's for you. Don't say I never gave you nothing. And then straight up, we're just using yellow mustard, all right? Like
Good old HEB
just,
yellow mustard.
Yep, it's just some mustard seeds, vinegar, and a whole lot of turmeric.
And other secret spices.
All right,
now,
here we
Charlotte,
go.
another
Tell
chef
me.
on this show will usually buzz the blender without the top on. You know, bit of a rebel. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's kind of like it's kind of the thing that Rob likes to see, how we can keep it all. Oh, you're gonna do it. Did the peer pressure work?
I'm terrified, y'all. Okay, it didn't do it. It didn't do it. We didn't die. It didn't explode.
We trusted the blender. Now crank up the speed.
You may have to add a little bit of liquid to this.
The vortex.
If it's too thick, we could definitely add in a little bit of our braising liquid from our broth.
It's gonna be a hot mustard, man. I can see it.
Hot mustard.
Spicy. Jalapeno.
Okay, add a little bit of that. Now I'm totally gonna put the lid on. All right.
The mustard won't let you down, chef.
Nope, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna put this in a bowl right now, but first, sausage.
Starving right now.
Oh
All I
my
smell is
gosh,
the grilled
look at that. We got some
jalapenos,
color on these guys. That guy stuck a little bit.
brats. The beer's still cooking.
Da-da. Got this guy doing a thing. Almost like a syrup. I'm gonna use the one I made earlier. Let's try this. Y'all.
Whoa, there it is. Let's see the pull. Has it melted a little more? There it is.
I might have to put a little bit more. We might have like saturated.
Too much? What do you mean? A little more liquid or a little too much cheese?
We
Or
might
not
need to
enough
add a little bit
cheese?
of liquid. And it's okay if you have to add liquid. No biggie, no biggie. You stay right there.
I think for
All
my
right, next
pretzel chef,
mustard.
it's going to be good.
It's gonna be good. So for this one, we're going to add in that reduction. And this guy, like, he's almost done. You can't tell, he's a little hot, so I don't want to use this, but see how it's like, I mean, it's almost nothing. Can y'all see that?
A little bit of liquid.
Right? And when it's done, when it's cool, it looks like this. So it looks like maple syrup and shallots, right? This is amazing. So I'm just gonna add all this straight to my blender. Oh, it's so good. We're gonna add in our whole grain mustard.
Whole grain.
Whole
I love
grain.
good whole grain. And there's so many, what's not to love about mustard?
God, I love mustard.
A big whole grain mustard fan.
That there. All right, and then we're just gonna
Again,
give
good
this
emulsifying
guys-
properties. It'll kind of help hold everything together.
Do you want me to do it
nicely, all
without the-
flavors.
I just feel like somebody's due to like lose the
Look, I want you to know, Charlotte, if anybody's doomed to do it, it's definitely me because I have that
statistically speaking, yes.
statistic.
All right.
It's coming during one of
Can
those
y'all
classes.
see in there?
It'll be
I mean,
fine.
is
I'll
it a
wear
good
some
shot?
And it'll be all right. I just love the vortex. I just feel like I'd like people to see the vortex of it all kind of getting emulsified
I'm
together.
terrified.
Don't be scared.
Terrified,
Go higher.
boss.
It'll take it. It'll handle it. Go higher. Do it. Yes, yes. More power. It's perfect. That's all. That's it. There you go.
Okay. Oh, wait. I didn't even touch it. It just turned on. It just turned itself on. All right. This smells so good. It has this like almost like honey mustard flavor happening. All right, let's
Homemade
put,
whole grain honey mustard.
Oh, it's so good, and you
All
can
right,
still
how are the
see.
pretzels, chef? I smell them. I can smell them.
Oh, Tompkins. Perfect.
See, my nozzle worked that time.
timing.
I got you.
Perfect timing.
Get out of town.
Do you love them?
Jeffrey, you got to post us. Jeffrey's making them along with you. I want to see Jeffrey's pretzels. I want to see how they turned out.
So do I. Okay, we've got our.
You got that right, Nancy. Right on time. Look at those pretzel bites.
Okay. Now, let's build our board. Y'all want to?
So I have to say, like, you know, these virtual classes, we've been doing them now for almost 10 months. We started last year in November. We, you know, you can buy everything. We have so many things at HEB that you can grab. Charlotte's showing you how to make all these homemade mustards, but also we work with a great company called Fisher & Weezer that makes a great mustard that's literally perfect for bratwurst and Oktoberfest, just in time. We have so many things, but what I love about these classes is that you can go to the store and buy those pretzel bites on the aisle, right? They're packaged or prepackaged, but look at the ones she just pulled out of the oven. They look exactly the same as the ones you could buy in store. And it's just showing you, like, here's the great thing about HEB and these virtual classes is, like, here's how you make it. And if you're in a pinch and you don't want to make them, go to the store, go buy the pretzel bites or the pretzels, and then make the mustards.
Yes, okay.
Or if you can't muster the strength to make the mustards, what?
He's also been dying to say that.
Sorry, that was B-roll. That was B.
Good.
That's B.
No, that was good.
That's the B. That wasn't an A
was
material. That's B
good.
material.
That was good. Okay, I'm going to turn my heat on my little Dutch oven here to make sure our cheese is good and melty. And then I'm going to cut up these brats.
Cut up the brats.
Oh my gosh.
That's right, Josh. That was for you. He said Bobby Flay always finishes with some pun. And I said, I'll give you a really cheesy,
well, you
line.
and Bobby Flay are super punny. Y'all, I also found Beyond Meat has a brat.
They're actually really good. I've had those. They're actually,
I have some. I can
pretty
pull them out
tasty.
if y'all want to see them. Okay,
yeah,
we've
if you're
got
doing
our,
the vegan thing,
our
no
brats
problem.
there. Get rid of that.
And if you are actually, this is a great point, if you are a vegan and you're looking at the pretzels, you want to make the pretzels vegan, you can absolutely substitute butter for oil to make the pretzels. Just, you may have to scale back some of the liquid and just use water instead of did you use milk? No, just
for
water,
what?
right? You just use water.
In what?
The pretzel.
Yeah.
Yeah, just water, okay.
Okay.
I had a moment there where I was like, was it milk? It wasn't milk.
He wasn't paying attention.
I was paying attention, I just, you know. There it is.
Okay.
The cheese.
The cheese. Oh, I left those jalapenos over there to like. Ooh, there's a good clove of garlic in there. I hope you get that bite, Tompkins.
Jeffrey said, adding baking soda to the boiling water caused the water to boil over. Don't worry, I survived. Jeffrey, yeah, little word of warning. Sometimes boiling water with alkaline solutions can boil over. Much like watching like leaving milk on the stove or cream, it can boil up very quickly. Apologies.
My bad.
Chef Charlotte's going to come to your house and bake you 6 batches of pretzels
I'm
for
gonna
that
clean
little.
it up personally. Oh man. Oh, that's showbiz, y'all.
They stuck a little bit?
They stuck a little bit, but don't worry.
Look, it's not the first time I've eaten parchment paper. You can tear them off and I'll be good.
Okay, y'all, let this be an example. Spray your parchment a little bit because we did use an egg wash and sometimes that makes it sticky.
Makes it sticky?
Makes it sticky. What a bummer. But don't worry, our pretzel bites are okay.
That's
so
right.
we'll get some of these guys.
On the, grab the ones on the other speed rack over there, Chef. The other pretzels are ready to go.
Hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato. I had to do that the hard way, right?
Pretzel bites.
Pretzel bites.
Look how great those look.
Look at this. Little pretzel bites for y'all. Beep. That's the official Pretzel Bites sound.
In under an hour, Pretzel Bites, brats.
These guys are stuck. Y'all, spray your parchment. Don't be like me. But look, I have these.
I happen to like the struggle.
That I baked earlier. Look how pretty those are. Boop.
That's where you get that chemical reaction, right? The baking soda.
Look at that. Ta-da!
So Oktoberfest, but also pretty much a baller start to any tailgating or football, college, or professional party.
Yes, all the mustards. We got something spicy. We got something sweet. Super cool, man. I love it. Look at that. And in case you guys missed anything, you can always go back and watch this on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/HEB, to see what's happening next. Check out our lineup. We have, you can go to hb.com/classes. And I believe our next class is
that's right,
beefing up your tailgate with Eddie Jackson.
Chef Eddie Jackson, Food Network's going to be here.
And I think you're going to be the moderator here.
I will be here with Chef Eddie Jackson.
Okay.
We'll be cooking up, I believe, some fajitas, a fantastic burger. Right. We're doing all things beef. It's going to be a great class. For these other great classes, check out our content. We're going to keep rolling these. We're rolling all throughout the holidays, all throughout the new year. Go to hb.com/class to check out what's next. And if you missed something, just like Charlotte said, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/HEB. Check out all the footage and rewind every ounce of Charlotte doing stuff like that over and over. Is it hot? Be careful. Yeah. I'll burn the top of the skin off your mouth.
Oh, that's
careful.
So good.
It's 400
so
degrees.
Good. The roof of my mouth is gone.
Chef, well done. Thanks for the education. Thanks for the lesson. Thanks everybody that tuned in. You guys are awesome. Chef, take us home.
See you later, guys. Thank you so much. Can you see